Hello, guys, and welcome back. We're going to be talking about why Meghan should quit or change and pivot in order to be successful. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I'm Star Chairs, and in this channel, we review everything through the lens of PR. All right, so Meghan Markle is a figure who never fails to spark conversation, has consistently found herself entangled in backlash, criticism, and countless controversies. Time and time again, Meghan faces setbacks from public criticism, failed business ventures, PR disasters, and strained personal relationships. Yet, despite all of this, Meghan refuses to quit, step back, or pivot. But here's what is fascinating. Meghan also refuses to adapt or change her approach. Her story seems stuck in a repetitive cycle, persistent but static. Why is Meghan unwilling to quit, yet unwillingly to grow and evolve? Meghan Markle's personal brand is built entirely on defiance, especially in the face of criticism. To admit defeat, to publicly acknowledge a misstep, or to quit would fundamentally undermine the empowerment narrative she has carefully constructed. Meghan believes that she portrays herself as a symbol of strength, authenticity, and female empowerment. But she's sadly mistaken, because even though she says one thing, she does another, which is the definition of being a hypocrite. Quitting would shatter this image for her, proving her critics right. And she will not have that because Meghan knows best in her point of view. But from my perspective, when I am working with clients, I always tell them, don't quit, but shift and pivot. Public figures, particularly polarizing ones like Meghan, rely heavily on maintaining relevance. Giving up would not only be a personal blow to her, but also a professional catastrophe, effectively validating negative public opinions, which would kill her because she believes she knows best. Now, despite persistent criticism, Meghan repeatedly returns to the same old playbook from practically 10 years ago. Even though she has the power players working for her, she doesn't listen and continues to carefully curate friendships, stage authenticity, emotional appeals designed for validation. Her strategy remains steadfast, unchanged. Consistently vague statements, meticulously controlled media engagements like The Drew Show, and a curated public persona. Consider her Netflix series With Love, Meghan. The show exemplifies her unwillingness to evolve. Instead, Meghan sticks to rigid, safe topics, sanitized storytelling, and strategic friendships that only reinforce a carefully manufactured narrative. It's an endless PR loop designed explicitly to draw praise without addressing or adapting criticism. From my point of view, changing tactics would imply to Meghan to acknowledge her past mistakes, a scenario Meghan strategically avoids. Publicly evolving means potentially losing control over her carefully managed image, something Meghan is clearly unwilling to risk. Now, I have to say this. I'm not a doctor, and these are just my opinions, because I believe that Meghan Markle's stubborn adherence to her original narrative might hint at a deeper psychological traits: stubbornness, pride, ego, or perhaps a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. Her consistent inability or unwillingness to internalize constructive criticism or learn from repeated setbacks point towards an underlying psychological resistance, in my opinion. Because with clients that I have worked, those who don't change or they hesitate to change are usually the ones whose ego was bruised. But those who easily adapt and pivot are those who learn from their mistakes and are ready to shift and resurrect their business. Interestingly, most successful public figures pivot and adapt after significant setbacks or controversies. Meghan Markle's persistent refusal to adjust traps her in a repeated cycle of criticism and missteps, highlighting a fundamental disconnect or emotional barrier preventing meaningful growth. Now, let's examine this because the Archetypes podcast, despite widespread criticism regarding its content and format, Meghan was praised without making meaningful adjustments or improvements. And we haven't heard anything from it yet. So it's kind of like an abandoned business project in the queue. In the Netflix series With Love Meghan, despite negative audience feedback, the show has a second season. And yes, I read your comments. I understand that this was already filmed, which is sad because it means that the content for the series will sadly not change and will be exactly the same. Audiences generally value authenticity, humility, and visible growth. Ironically, Meghan could significantly enhance her image by demonstrating sincere growth, openness to feedback, or humility, traits that she repeatedly and deliberately avoids. Now, I have one question for you guys. Why do you believe Meghan resists growth despite her clear setbacks that she has encountered? Because to me, I don't understand it. As a businesswoman, I'm always going to be shifting and pivoting until I get to my goal. But Meghan doesn't. Meghan doesn't care. Meghan thinks she knows best. And the cycle continues. Because unfortunately, for critics and supporters alike, season 2 of With Love Meghan is already completed, which means more of the exact same Meghan Markle Sparkle formula is on its way. By proceeding without any adjustments based on viewer feedback, Meghan confirms that she's never intended to evolve or genuinely address audiences' criticisms. Instead, she's doubling down on the same tightly controlled narrative from season 1 because she believes she knows best. And from my perspective, this is a significant missed opportunity, especially as a PR strategist. Successful media projects usually leverage audience feedback between seasons to refine and improve. Meghan's decision signals that maintaining strict control over her narrative is far more important to her than genuine growth or authentic connection with her audience. And we saw that because she never looked for a connection and never looked at the camera. And I look at the camera all the time because I want a connection with you guys. Audiences crave growth, change, and evolution from the public figures they follow. By releasing another season completely identical in style and substance, Meghan communicates clearly to her viewers that her personal narrative matters more to her than meaningful engagement or responsiveness. And we see this also in her Instagram, where she disabled comments because she doesn't want to change direction and she doesn't care what you and I have to say about it. This rigid approach risks making her seem out of touch, disconnected, and unresponsive to valid constructive criticism. But what really blows my mind is that she's doing this on a world stage, and she has the best people that money can buy to advise her, yet she believes that she knows best, even though her way has caused her to fail time and time again. If you and I had the same opportunities that Meghan had, I believe we would succeed because we would pivot and change until we got it right, and we would listen to other people that have more experience than us, and we're like, yes, let's do this, let's make some million money. So Meghan Markle's unwavering commitment to her current strategy of refusing to quit or adapt may secure temporary continuity, but ultimately risk long-term brand stagnation and audience disconnection. And we keep seeing that in real time. Her insistence of total control illustrates a critical lesson for both business and in life. True growth and sustainability require adaptability and openness to change. In business, as in life, success is rarely linear. It ebbs and it flows. The ability to relinquish control, trust the process, and embrace flexibility not only fosters resilience, but often leads to greater fulfillment and sustained success. All right, guys, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Shine bright, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.